bringing an amendment.
Venani says the payment of $2,000 for candidates would just limit political parties from nominating candidates and be active participants in the democratic elections.
We are looking at bringing an amendment in the current parliament in the next 2 weeks to look at bringing an amendment to look at that, because it was an omission for a nomination procedure to cost so much, because it will derail political parties and political actors to be able to nominate candidates, because it's just too much. If you look at the constituencies that we have, that is a little bit over 140 constituencies in the country, pay 2,000 per each candidate. We are talking about over 240, 250,000 nomination process, and that needs the critical amendment for us to make sure that we maintain democracy.
The DTA leader charges that political parties are obliged to declare their funding sources in addition to the money they receive every year from Parliament for administrative purposes. He says this money is not enough to cover their election campaigns. In that regard, Venani says DTA has already engaged stakeholders to bring necessary reforms for the funding of political parties. He says foreign funding of political parties is also worrisome, especially with China allegedly financing the campaigns of the ruling SWAPO party, as this might lead to foreign interference in the country's domestic matters.
Where is the correlation of international funding? To other people, we must declare the Pakistanis and the Asians are bankrolling SWAPO. And why are they bankrolling SWAPO? There's nothing wrong with bankrolling SWAPO, but there's everything wrong if it is inundated with funding from one country. And if you look at the discourse in South Sudan, it's a discourse that has already started in South Sudan, that China for the first time is mediating in an African conflict, which is a good thing. But of course, China is also not mediating for free in South Sudan. It's the political interest, the geo-economic interest that they have in South Sudan, the oil that is in South Sudan, and that's why they are there.